yes, he might be interested in her, but I feel like it's going to do. I could just see Robert Jordan writing the trope where it's more like, oh, but the quieter and more pensive younger brother, he's actually the one that...
Who writes fantasy books instead of going into the Navy, Dad?
Hello and welcome to the Bridgeburners Book Club, where together we read, discuss, criticize, and get excited about all things science fiction and fantasy. I'm your host, Sean, and with me is my co-host, Tyler.
That's me.
And our co-host, Ben.
Gaben Trakand. Yes, this is true. I'm not quite as handsome as Galad, but he's only got one dong, and I'm all about them sloppy seconds.
We're excited to have you along with us each week as we take a journey together through the books we love. Wow. I mean, not technically sloppy seconds, I don't think, because nothing has actually happened yet, but I get the reference.
Yeah. Emotional sloppy seconds.
It would be very sloppy, though, because you know what? Gawain gives, like, just gallons and gallons of cum. Just spurting it out, spurting it out like a fire hose when it does come out. Yeah.
What if I feel like this isn't the first time this has ever been talked about, but just like what if your sperm built up and you literally because it is kind of like hormones release and all that stuff. There's some physiology going on, but
it's like having to
if literally
a new mother has to pump. It's like I gotta go into the medical necessity room and pump real quick.
Yeah.
Like they have like special spaces.
You have to provide me a space to do this. It's the law.
You have to ask your teacher to go to the bathroom. And they're like, again? You're like, I started having to pump.
You're just really describing what junior high actually was for me, but okay, yeah.
A special jock strap to like easy access, and God.
You just get a machine and you just kind of
normalize pumping in public.
Are
we recording?
Okay. Good talk.
No, I feel like you can tie that into the Wheel of Time universe somehow, but we don't need to do that.
So anyways, we're back. We all were just on vacation, more or less, within the last couple weeks here. And, meanwhile, the show's been marching on. I don't know. Have you guys caught up on the show yet?
No, I'm too behind, I think.
I think there is one episode I need to watch from yesterday.
I watched that one. It's so far, this is by far the best season. It's been really good so far.
There was definitely a segue episode 2 weeks ago. So it was after the Ruidian episode, which was baller, and then the Teleran Riyadh episode was not as baller, and that was also just kind of like a move things along.
I liked the newest one. I think it built on some of that Teleran Riyadh stuff, and it was kind of moving slow with Perrin's whole thing going on, but he didn't at the end of the episode they fought some people. They fought some white cloaks.
Yeah, they did the rescue thing, like kind of like what they did in season 1 or book 1.
Do you think you're enjoying it this season more because we're kind of at that point in the story as well, or it sounds like they're kind of going off into the Aiel stuff a lot more, so maybe not.
I think it's just better. It's more violent. It's sexier.
Nice.
It's more just badass. Like it just feels like they grew up.
Yeah, I just think it's become like what it had the promise to be. I feel like more or less this season, even just like the general artistry of it. I don't know, the way the magic looks is super cool, and like the way they're using it in this season's pretty awesome. Rand is like legitimately scary when he starts doing stuff. You're like, oh my god, this guy's gonna fucking. You feel kind of afraid of what his powers can do, which I think is super cool. I don't even think we're quite there in the books yet. Like you haven't really seen him doing hurting people that he doesn't, mean to hurt and shit like that.
He just makes them get married. Hurts him in the long term.
Show Rand is a lot more confident than Book Rand at this stage.
For sure.
Also, I noticed today, like after not reading for a couple of weeks and catching up, like it's kind of hard. The show and the book are close enough that they do different events in different ways, in like different severity, and the minor differences between like Leandrin's attack and the Black Aja is like stealing stuff in the book is like really making it hard to remember like which is which. I'm actually probably following the show better in my head than I am the book at this point because I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I think it's making it feel like we're farther along in the book than we really are. Like we're still in the first third or whatever. So
I'll be glad when this show is. I mean, I'm really digging it, but I'll be glad when the show is done for the season and we're still going on in the book. They'll make things a little easier to retain.
Not too much longer. Without like recounting the entire thing though, that Ruidian episode, that all those camera moves they were doing with like the spinning wheel shit was so cool. Like just prepare yourself if you watch it at some point, Tyler. There's like a million Rands.
Nice. No, I think
Moraine dying like a million times and Rand dying a million times and like it's pretty cool.
I believe I'm watching it while I'm at the gym, and then I just didn't work out all week because I was just back from vacation and I'm still a fatty. So yeah.
How was your guys' vacations?
Pretty sweet.
Ben.
Good. Went Joshua Tree, did some hiking and backpacking, and then LA area for a couple of days. It was kind of a weird week because I changed jobs while on vacation.
Whoa.
Same company, but different. Like I'm no longer going to be working in a branch. And so I got offered the job while I was on vacation and then thought about it over for a couple of days and accepted it and then had to meet with my team. Well, I didn't have to, but I met with my team like via Teams, which was weird, and broke the news. And yeah, it's been kind of a lot of changes in the last week, professionally speaking. So I'll be working from home.
What's your new thing?
I'm working in our indirect lending department, so like our dealership lending folks and like a dealer dealership relations, more or less.
Do you get a wine and dine people?
No, we have different people for that.
Okay. Did you say you went to Hawaii, Tyler?
Yeah, we went to Maui. It was awesome. Our friend's family has like a condo there. We got to rent it super cheap, and it's just like it's in Kihei, which is just more like a small town, just like kind of out of the resort area.
I've stayed there.
It was nice. We just kind of hang out, went to the pool, went to the beach, then went back to the pool, and then back to the beach. And yeah.
How's the weather there at this time of year?
Fucking great. It was not rainy at all. It was like 85 every day consistently all day long. One day had a little bit of clouds. You're like, oh, what, clouds? Ugh.
Man,
that sounds pretty cool.
Not too crowded. I'd say go to Maui. They need it.
Man, I was camping in the desert. And it was like it was still fun. We were like the only people in this particular trail system in Joshua Tree that we saw.
Oh, wow.
But it was freezing cold. I had like every piece of like warm weather clothing on. But it's still super cool being out. I always love the desert. And it's the first time we backpacked in the desert. It was a pretty short trip. Most of the time we were there, we were in an Airbnb and just did day trips. And
you didn't take a horse with no name?
No, not this time. But we did see there's like a saloon there in Pioneer Town, which is like an old Western town. It's a fake Western town that was created as a movie set backdrop.
Yeah.
And there's a saloon there called Pappy and Harriet's, and they have shows. And we saw Kim Deal one night, and then we saw Martha Wainwright the next night. And it was really cool.
That sounds cool.
There's two saloons there, and they're both pretty badass. So if you're in Joshua Tree area, go to Pioneer Town. I'm sure you would anyway, because it's one of the touristy things to do.
Yeah, I'm looking at going there sometime in the next year or two. I've never been, so definitely on my list. And I just went I was kind of nearish to there, but in the southwest, went on a road trip down from Oregon to Nevada and then Arizona and also California. In the desert most of that time. But man, I went through like every fucking biome and weather. It was kind of crazy. Coming back, like went like east to like Burns and shit, and then down. And then like through the middle of Nevada, and then like I said over to Arizona, went to the Grand Canyon and Death Valley, and then back up to like Reno and back in California and Oregon.
Did you go through the Steens Mountain area, Malheur County? It's the most desolate.
I think no, we weren't quite there. We were close, but I think maybe we cut into it a tiny bit, but not really.
It's the most unpopulated area in the contiguous United States.
Oh,
that area of like southeast Oregon and Nevada is like the most wildernessy wilderness, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Nevada, and yeah, it's so crazy how like there is nothing out there. Like, yeah, there's Winnemucca. That's the place that we first came into Arizona at, or I mean Nevada at, and then we like went south, and there was like absolutely nothing until basically Las Vegas, and then close to there, there's like Pahrump and Boulder City.
Oh yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, like Nevada's got nothing else going on.
You must have just missed the Steens area because Winnemucca is like the closest town in Nevada.
Yeah,
that's like the
I think
city.
That's right where we turned south. Man, I saw some really cool like ghost towns and shit. I love how there's literally nothing out there and they just leave all this shit up. There's like stuff from like 100 years ago or more. Just like, rusting out there in the sun.
Like no one's letting you take it. Like, no.
If you got, and like you see how like people traveling in the old days, you know, if they didn't know exactly where to go, if they went through that area, like you could just die out there so easily because there's no water anywhere and there's no life really besides like small rodents and lizards and shit.
People still die out there all the time. So they want to go on a hike in 115 degree heat and get lost and die.
Yeah. Speaking of people dying, I was at the Grand Canyon, and not that someone died, but man, people do the stupidest shit where you're just like, oh my God, you're going to get yourself killed for an Instagram photo or whatever. Like climbing down on little ledges and shit.
I'm just going to jump over this little fence right here and just get on the other side of it. And like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
We just got awarded a backcountry permit for the Grand Canyon, which we've wanted for a long time. But the catch is it's in August. And so I don't think we're going to do it.
You would hike down into it?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's a lottery system on the recreation.gov app.
We were going to do like short hikes there, but we looked at them when we got there and we were just like, no. They're like, I can't do that level of like steepness. If I look out, you know, at all into the insanity that is the Grand Canyon, I just start to get, I guess, vertigo or whatever, you know. It's too much for me.
Yeah.
I would just die.
I've got vertigo too. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it. We're also going to do Yosemite and like potentially hike Half Dome, but I don't know if my vertigo will allow me to do it.
Yeah. You got to be able to balance and keep your focus on what you're doing. I don't know. Especially if you have a pack on.
Yeah.
The desert, it's just like the Aiel Waste, which got to see a lot of in the show so far. I'm digging that place. I don't know if it's going to happen in this book, but I'm looking forward to when we get there.
We're definitely wetlanders.
Yeah, we're still super wet in the book. I'd say
the wettest of landers.
Yeah, the white tower is really wet.
Yeah, especially with the
Ilion wet.
Galad and Galen there.
Oh, just fire hose and cum all over the place. Yeah, for sure. Sticky too.
They got the scullery maids working overtime getting those panties dry.
I just imagine some White Tower servant just hang up like line after line of panties. I've never seen so many soaked panties. Not since Land came back from the.
That's basically the way it is in the show.
A laundry chute, and it's like this here, like a drip, and then like drip, drip, and then just a tsunami of wet panties. Okay.
There we go.
Speaking of Wheel of Time,
we just went around the world of pumping the balls and soaking the panties.
Just another week at the Bridgeburners book.
Well, talking about the White Tower, you know, that's the entire thing we read this week. Still at the White Tower. Hey, it's not Perrin though. We get a little break from Perrin, which I think I was grateful for.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah, but I'm kind of ready to move on from the tower. It's because they kind of just keep doing these short chapters in here. We'll talk chapter chat, if that's what we can get into chapter chat.
It's chapter chat time.
Yeah. We had 4 good chapters that were all good things to cover, I guess, but just like having it all back to back, all in the tower, all just kind of following Nynaeve and Egwene from room to room.
And it's like one Aes Sedai shows up, they're an asshole. Another Aes Sedai shows up, also an asshole.
Yeah. Literally, there's a point where it's like, was it Shariam and Elida are both there or something at the end? But, you know, what's also I was thinking about earlier when I was like rereading these chapters to write the summary, I was like, all of this since I don't remember how many chapters back now has been taking place in the same day. They got up in that morning and they had the encounter with baby Bornhold, and then they went into the...
Oh, yeah. They're just like going in and walking around. Oh, yeah. That's all the same day.
They went into the city, and then Matt got taken away, and they got taken into the Amyrlin eventually, and then the Amyrlin gave them their special mission and all that shit. And now it's like nighttime. They get attacked by a gray man.
Is this all the same day?
Yeah, because they say that at some point in one of the chapters. They're like, man, just this morning when I did that thing to Bornhold. It's like, what?
Yeah, I think you're right. It is.
Couldn't believe it when I read
crazy.
That. It just seems like it's been forever. All of this stuff is happening all at once. It's just taking Robert Jordan like 12 chapters to get through it. So, but like we said, they are short, and that's why we did 4 of them this week.
Well, watch us get 2 meandering, and then we only get through 3.
It is 45 minutes.
Let's just get right into it right now.
Yeah.
Chapter 15, The Gray Man. Egwene and Nynaeve depart the Amyrlin's study, speaking of their new role as Black Aja hunters, as well as Nynaeve's motivation in studying at the tower while making their way to Elaine's chambers. They have but barely arrived when a crossbow bolt from the dark comes whizzing by Egwene's head. Nynaeve holds the would-be assassin in a net of wind, who is silenced by his companion. Shariam Sedai arrives, declaring that the killer was in fact a gray man, ordering the 2 young accepted to return to their rooms, commanding their silence. Wow, man, these chapters are so quick, but yeah, they just like leaving the Aja study, which I guess is, she just like literally gave him the command. She had Elaine leave, and then she gave the secret mission to the other 2.
And their little like carte blanche to say they get away with anything they want. Which I would have, if I were them, immediately taken that to Shariam and been like, oh, hey, we have this. Don't ask us any questions. Because, like,
that's true.
She's the one who's going to fuck with them the most. She's the mistress of novices. So,
yeah. Just bust that thing out and try it right away. Maybe they don't want Shariam to know they have that, though. Yeah, also? maybe.
That could also be. She does seem a little sketchy at one point, and I think the
she's just there. Like, she shows up and then doesn't question the fact that Gray Man killed, or like, she didn't ask what he was doing, if they saw anything else or saw anybody kill him or what. She's like, oh, bother.
Yeah, at the end, the chapter ends with Nynaeve saying that that Shariam never asked about like who stabbed the guy, which is the other question at the end of this chapter. Is like, yeah, Shariam have something to do with this, but also somebody killed the one gray man.
Which this happens in the show, but it's Varen, right? Isn't it Varen?
Yeah, I believe it is.
I think that happens pretty similar to this, where like somebody shoots the bow and then they find the guy. She does like a spell to trap him, and then they go down there and he's dead. I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused between the show and the book.
I know. There were a lot more similar events than I first expected when the show started this season, but we gotten into a lot of it here. But so they're walking through the hallway. They're talking about how they got to scrub the pots and all that stuff and pretend. And there's some weird thing in here where Nynaeve is like, I can do it. I must if I'm to stay here long enough to learn, and I must learn if I'm to. Suddenly she seemed to realize she was speaking aloud. It's like, okay, there's something that's going to be revealed.
Oh, yeah, I circled that as well. I bet it's if I'm to kill my reign. That's what she really wants to do.
Do you guys think she's really actually still, like, I don't think show Nynaeve is necessarily obsessed with that, but I could see book Nynaeve still being like, I have to kill or whatever. I have to save the boys from Moiraine's influence or whatever, and Egwene.
And also land. There's definitely some land issues involved with that. But yeah, I don't know if that's what it is. I was kind of just joking.
That reminded me that was such a big thing, though, in like the first and maybe even some of the second book, where she was just clashing hard with Moiraine, and that was like her reason for existing in the books, was completely just to oppose her, and she's like, I'm going to go to the White Tower for that. I imagine that that Nynaeve is more complicated than that now, but...
Is this the first time they've talked about the 5 elements of the 5 powers of Saidin or Saidar?
No, I circled that as well, yeah. It's very random how they just kind of dump it in here.
And then from this point on, it becomes a big... when they're learning different like weaves of like weaving these 5 powers together to, like ingredients.
I think he just figured it out. I think Robert Jordan just kind of figured out how magic works.
He's like, oh shit, I got to get this in the book. I wonder if it was like he was about to go to publishing. He's like, fuck.
He watched Avatar: The Last Airbender and was like, oh, damn it.
He really didn't say much about it in the first 2 books, maybe a little bit more in the second, but it was always just like the things that Moiraine was teaching to Egwene or whatever, or like the things that like Rand learns about the void and the flame and all that stuff. Like it's more just like how to focus yourself in order to open yourself to the true source, and that's about where it ended for the most part.
Yeah.
Like how to channel the true source into making a thing happen. But now it's like, seems like he's moving a little bit more towards actually adding some complication to it. Like it can't just be like you focus and you make a thing happen, and thing could be anything. I feel like we need a little bit more definition than that. And I guess we learned the wind thing in the second book, but like,
there's like that sword made out of wind.
Intro to it. Yeah. I mean, that's where Nynaeve learned this thing. There's like, he brings up that thing again that Nynaeve can like learn stuff immediately after she sees it one time. I guess Nynaeve is like a magic savant, but I imagine it's like Nynaeve is like all feeling and only able to do things with the proper like emotional motivation and stuff. I guess she learns by instinct or something and does things by instinct, and then Egwene's like learning how to be super refined.
Oh yeah, the fact that she's like what they call her like a wilder or something, right? Like that she also learned to channel outside of the White Tower's coaching. Yeah,
they do list it, and they are the classic Captain Planet: Earth, Air, Fire, Water, and Spirit.
Yeah,
that's right.
And Egwene has this like total,
also known as mana,
and Egwene just has this total like, I don't understand some of the ways the 5 powers are combined. Take healing. I can see why it requires spirit and maybe air, but why water? And Nynaeve is like, now is the reader like, what the fuck are you talking about? We almost got killed.
So like, it's kind of interesting. It took me a minute. I don't know why I didn't get this at first, but so like she holds the guy, and then it's like she thinks she's still just holding the guy or whatever, but they get close and then he has a dagger in him.
Somebody killed him.
I love how when they see the body, afterwards, the way that it describes it through Egwene is like, he was an extremely ordinary man. I couldn't pick him out in a group of 3 or whatever. And like, I don't know, when you're just looking at one person lying on the ground by themselves or whatever, like, how would you even, I don't understand what that even means.
Even a very ordinary person would have a face, right? Like a person, an individual will look
like they just look like what they look like.
Like, I'm sorry, I look like a pretty ordinary guy, but like also in a diverse racial world where apparently people look quite different than each other. He just looks so fucking average. I don't know. I don't know. He's just
is this our first experience with a gray man?
Yeah.
Just directly.
There's some better
a little bit earlier in the book.
There must be some sort of like magic about them, like how when they're alive, quote unquote. I guess they're never truly alive, but agree. They have some power to divert the eye.
I do like the idea of a gray man.
Yeah. And they showed the way they did it in the show was a lot cooler because he was alive, or they showed a living one.
And we already talked about the camera tricks with that too, and like not camera tricks, but the way they just did the cinematography of just not focusing on this guy that's stabbing everybody.
Yeah, you're seeing it just from that it's like is a good way to show like the chaos of that kind of scene too. Yeah, very effective in the show. I have a feeling Gray Man will be better at later parts, but
Gray Man.
They come in, they shoot a bolt, they disappear. Introduction. What we heard earlier in the book was that the Gray Man, they thought it was a soulless that was going around killing the Rand lookalikes or whatever.
Yes, that's right. That was season or episode book. What God? That was book 2.
And no, that was
earlier in this book.
That's during the parent chapters. Yeah,
I feel like there was a mention of a Gray Man in previous books,
maybe,
but we haven't seen one before, which is exactly what they want.
He did the Chekhov's Gray Man in this book already, although it didn't take till Act 3. It was pretty quick. So, and then, they find the dagger, and then immediately, as we kind of mentioned before, Shariam shows up. It is kind of suspicious. Also, she says, she tells them, don't tell anybody about this except me or the Amerlin if she brings it up to you. That basically means that she's covered all of her bases, because if the Amerlin didn't know about it, then she would never bring it up to them and they would never be allowed to talk about it. I don't the way that Nynaeve's acting in these chapters, regardless of whether she trusts Shariam or not, I feel like Nynaeve is likely to tell whoever she wants whatever information she wants, or to just ask the Amerlin straight up, do you know about the Gray Man? Did Shariam because Nynaeve just makes the decision, and what is it, the next chapter or two here, to tell Elaine.
Oh yeah,
I guess it might be the last chapter. She lets her in on their black
it's later on in here,
stuff.
But it's very much the second that she gets a chance, she talks to Elaine about it. Yeah, goes rogue.
They never really play by the rules, Nynaeve and Egwene and whoever else. So, anyways, I could see her doing whatever she wants here. But not really believing or trusting Shariam Sedai, obviously. And then Shariam, she says what? She's going to handle the body and stuff. You would think a Gray Man would be a thing that the Tower would want to study, probably, right?
Yeah, right. How this guy have no soul. Although with the dead guy, it's hard to figure that out anyway.
Sure. Shariam's either a dark friend or she's in, three things. She's either dark friend, in on the Amerlin's plot, or she's doing her own investigation. Because she's up to something.
It's academia, so she could just be incompetent.
I don't think that's it.
It's kind of it actually reminds me a bit of Harry Potter. You got these teachers at the school, and which one is good and which one's bad, and they've all got secrets and stuff and histories and shit. It's intrigue. We got a little intrigue going on in the White Tower. We're getting a thriller story with Nynaeve and Egwene and Elaine right now.
It's almost like a Scorsese movie.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
Do you think there's a backs of documents involved?
Backs of documents.
The Amerlin seat's got a backs of documents.
Okay. Anything else in this chapter? They talk about the fucking Captain Planet powers.
Yeah, really randomly. It's just kind of, and it's not even in discussion. It just, in narration, Robert Jordan tells us the use of the 1 powers is divided into 5 powers: earth, air, fire, wood, or whatever.
Change a few words, and it's like a Wikipedia or whatever, the wiki entry for Wheel of Time describing what the 5 powers are. And then we do end on that thing where Shariam never asked about who stabbed him.
Dun dun dun.
They head down Nynaeve's fancy big accepted room. Egwene also got made and accepted, right?
Not yet, or just recently, or
I think they still have to do the rings, right? I think we were uncertain about that, but they're not accepted at this moment. It's also the same day, so
yeah, she wouldn't have a room yet or whatever. But
I think they still have to do the rings. I hope they do it like the show where Egwene's like, I'm just comes out pissed off. It's like, now I'm leaving. Bye.
Just do one of them real quick. We'll do the one where Rand's crazy. Let's move on to the next chapter.
When I was your age, they said we could become the red or black Aja. What I'm saying is this. When you're staring down a gray man, what's the difference?
This isn't the fucking village, green ladies. This is the White Tower.
I want you to smash or otherwise moderately disrupt the Black Aja operations in this tower. You'll be compensated for your undercover work on behalf of this department.
So what do I do?
Do you know who I am? Maybe we can work something out.
There are certain parts of my job I won't be able to talk about. I just got to the novice files. They have access we don't know about.
Last thing I remember, I tipped you off and you got away.
You smell a rat?
Sooner or later, she's gonna find out who I am and she's gonna kill me. I can get the rat. You just gotta let me do it my way, Leandrin.
If you don't, it won't be me who suffers.
They stole the Terangriel from the inside. Let me smoke them out.
How's your mother?
Chapter 16, Hunters 3. At Nynaeve's chambers, her and Egwene are joined by Elaine and her brothers. The siblings quarrel, leaving Nynaeve with no choice but to threaten the boys into leaving immediately. Elaine tells Egwene that Gawain is truly besotted, which is apparently a thing people used to actually say. Nynaeve reveals the Amyrlin's orders to Elaine and wonders whether the Aes Sedai leader intends to let Mat die. As the trio begins to put together a plan, they are interrupted by the abrupt arrival of Elaida Sedai.
Yeah, I had to throw in that thing about besotted. Okay.
Yeah. That just means drunk, too? Like...
Yeah, I double checked. I was like, I'm pretty sure it can mean like totally infatuated or whatever, which is one definition, but the other is just drunk. Yeah,
drunk on her musk.
To me, it sounds like filthy. Like you're like you are absolutely. Like,
oh, I'm besotted by your breasts.
Yeah, like you're sweating heavily, and just going through it with horniness or whatever.
Sounds like someone needs to pump.
Oh man, I forgot about that already. Hunters 3. You should make a theme song for like a 80s cop show or something like that.
Nynaeve just like sliding across the hood of a car and then like smiling at the cameras, or
yeah.
Hunters 3.
Like it's got to be that vibe, right? It's not like a James Bond. We're not like a spy vibe, right?
No, this is more like
cop show, detective.
No, but they're kind of like kid detectives.
You need like a theme song, do do do, like a voiceover thing, where it's like on the streets of Tar Valon.
Nynaeve, you're a loose cannon on the hard hallways of the White Tower.
Every day, people are going missing.
Turn in your skirts. You're finished.
Turning your skirts. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention before that we are like, I read the first book before this, and I knew that like there were some tropes, and obviously Ben and Tyler, you've both joked about them quite a bit throughout the making of this podcast. The braid tugging, the divided riding skirts, all that. The braid
tugging is heavy in these 4 chapters. I stopped underlining it because it's a lot.
It didn't land with me as much before because it was not happening as much, and like it's not only that he talks about the braid and like fidgeting with the braid and stuff. Like I don't think that's necessarily even a bad way to like write to show rather than tell things about Nynaeve's mood, or even Egwene sometimes, things like that. But like the way he just always writes it exactly the same. It's like she violently tugged at her braid. She gave her braid a tug. Use a different word, man.
Just stop. Yeah.
And she's completely like giving, it's her tell, and I'm sure everyone knows it.
Yeah. Right.
And maybe that's not supposed to be, maybe that's supposed to be that way because she's so pissed off.
But these chapters are like 6 to 8 pages each, and there are multiple mentions in each chapter of Nynaeve tugging her braid. It's bad writing.
I take it as we're reading it from Egwene's perspective, so it seems to me like it's Egwene noticing that she's doing this. So it like adds to that effect of like people do notice, especially obviously Egwene, because she knows her so well. But like, yeah, it's got to be a tell. Like,
just never play poker, Nynaeve.
Yeah,
she gets a bad hand and just rips all her hair out.
Egwene's got heightened braid sensitivity.
Yeah,
braid sensitivity.
She speaks braid.
I remembered it, and so I'm also kind of on the lookout for it. But it is really these last couple of chapters. It's been a thing that comes up a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, I've noticed it a lot more now than I ever have before. It's feeling more real to me. We've also had some riding skirts mentioned multiple times, I believe, in this book already. Not quite so incessantly.
Egwene actually modifies her skirt to be a riding skirt.
Yeah.
Like her novice skirt or something like that.
Like making jean shorts or whatever out of a pair of jeans.
Yeah, cuts the sleeves off her.
I feel like that's also like, it's Robert Jordan's show. He's showing, not telling. He's showing through their clothing, their evolution as characters. He's like, yeah, Egwene's a little more grown up in this book. She's dividing her own riding skirts and shit. She's really letting loose in this one. Which actually he really did. Wasn't it a thing in like the first book that Egwene was like not wearing her braid or whatever, and
they made Rand really uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay, so now let's get into it. They get into Nynaeve's room, which is bigger. It's got a real bed not built into the walls, so we can kind of like add that to the picture that we have of the other room. Is that the beds are like bunks, and then there's just some hot boys in here. Galad and Gawain, who I still have trouble. Galad is her actual brother. Gawain's like step brother.
No.
I think Gawain's her brother.
Galad is her half brother.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. See,
he's the older one.
They have different fathers, I believe.
Galad is the one that Egwene has been having little moments over. As we find out in this chapter, it's actually Gawain who is like super into her. He's besotted, you might say.
Brother love triangle.
Okay, so basically, the boys are in here and they're questioning. They're like, what the fuck's going on? What happened to you? Where you been? Your mom is going to be so mad. She wants to know right now.
And rinse and repeat for the next chapter.
A lot of random talk about spankings in here. Considering that these people are 19 years old, they does in several points say that like, they get spanked. Shireen spanks people, and then that she's gonna spank them, and they'll call the Master at Arms, and the Master at Arms will spank the boys, and it's just like
it's a human centipede of spanking.
I mean, I don't really think capital punishment or corporal punishment is like good anyway. But like, these are 19 and 20-year-olds. Like, can you imagine if we at college, Ben, we got like pulled into what's his face's room and he just like laid into our asses for a while? Like,
all right.
Yeah.
It's like the humiliation factor is worse than the pain factor or what. Like it's just weird.
Yes, because you're being
Spanks roll down
a 20-year-old with getting bare ass spanked by another adult. Yeah. Yes, that is kind of humiliating.
It's like almost sexual at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, half brother, no.
That is part of it, though, is Nynaeve like threatens, like you said, like the Master at Arms or whoever is in charge of Gawain and Galad. She's going to tell them some shit. I'm going to send them a bad note. I'm pretty sure it's almost as vague as that. And they're just like, oh, no. Like, I guess an accepted has that much sway that she could just write a note and he would
just get spanked.
Always leave a note.
But she gets rid of them real quick and she counts down and then it does like a cartoon thing where it's like 3 and he's like, oh, but what, you can't be serious, 2, and then like when the camera cuts back over, the door has just slammed.
Flintstone out of there.
There's a
dust
cloud of dust.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they immediately talk about the most important thing, whether or not Galad is hot. Before they get into the whole Black Aja thing, first we got to make sure that first it's boys, but then they get right into the Black Aja thing. Where Nynaeve's like, you must keep this between us 3. The Black Aja, Nynaeve, the amulet. Yeah.
And it's probably fine. I don't think Elaine has any signs of being a secret dark friend or anything. Yeah. She's her questions are her allegiance to her family over her allegiance to Nynaeve and Egwene, I think.
In the show, she kind of looks like a girl who would unintentionally, with like no bad feelings, like a white chick that would wear an Indian headdress to a festival
Yeah.
and just not get it.
Yeah. She would definitely go to Burning Man, like in a super like fancy setup, you know.
Hashtag van life.
She makes some really sick TikToks and Snapchats or whatever. So then they get also into Matt for a second. They talk about how Nynaeve's theory is that potentially the Amyrlin doesn't plan to save Matt, but obviously we get a different story about that in one of the coming chapters here.
Yeah. I took that as regarding the horn, that he's linked to the horn, right? Which they've kind of like teased that is like, well, if Matt dies, then someone else can blow the horn.
Yeah, she did bring that up.
And plus, we just took out a life insurance policy on him, so...
Okay, should we move on to the next chapter? Yeah.
Chapter 17, The Red Sister. In the aftermath of Elaida Kool-Aid manning her way through Nynaeve's door, Elaida attempts to intimidate the three friends into giving up what they were up to all those months they were away. After some half-truths about trying to find and heal Matt, Elaida gets dangerously close to uncovering the Amyrlin's plot by pointing out that the girl's punishment was announced to the entire tower, which is an almost unprecedented event, but at the same time, Egwene and Elaine are to be raised to accept it immediately. Elaida begins to pry into the whereabouts of Rand when Sheriam blessedly interrupts the interrogation. Elaida leaves, and Sheriam evades more questions about the Grey Man's attempted assassination and mysterious death. After some inevitable scolding, Sheriam tells the girls that they are to accompany her to witness Matt's healing.
Speaking, of Kool-Aid manning,
the
last chapter ended and this one starts with Elaida bursting in. And I like how it describes her when she comes in. Elaida was a handsome woman rather than beautiful, and the sternness on her face added maturity to her ageless Aes Sedai features.
He does this in the next chapter too, where whenever he has to introduce a new Aes Sedai, within a paragraph, he has to let us know whether or not she's hot and in what degree of hot she is. Yeah.
Where she is on the hot index. Yeah.
I wonder, it seems like we've only met 2 Red Aja that I could think of, but they're both handsome.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, I'm thinking of the show. I think actually in the book, Leandrin is actually like cute.
Oh yeah, he calls her
like doll-like in appearance.
Yeah.
In appearance.
That's this key term about Leandrin, his doll-like. Which I don't know. I feel like doll-like to me is like actually, maybe like some conventionally beautiful features, but also like kind of fake and like creepy feeling. Maybe that's just me.
I mean, if she's doll-like in the show, she looks like the Saw character with those giant cheeks.
Seriously. And that's just what she looks like.
What's his name? Jigsaw.
Yeah. Jigsaw, yeah. Elaida also described, I don't know if I would quite describe her as handsome, but there's definitely some strong features to the actress that plays her in the show. She's also like a striking looking and fucking sounding person. So
yeah.
Anyways, she's here. I've seen the show and I'm getting, what did you guys get as what her motivations are in this chapter? Like, I'm not really quite sure.
Yeah, trying to like throw her power around and actually like I think she really wants to know what was going on when they left. And then kind of just like, but then I don't know, there's giving off strong Black Aja vibes, and then also wanted to know about Rand. Yeah.
She may be informing for Morghese too, or because in the show Morghese is trying to get that information, they won't tell her, and
we have not seen.
The show kind of probably gives it away,
yet, right?
That
we saw her
not in this one,
in the first book briefly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but not in this book yet.
No, yeah.
They missed her. She came to the White Tower and they were gone.
Yeah, she does ask about Rand. She's like, "What is it about your village or whatever about you people She thinks he's Taverin, which that does make her sound like actually kind of, I don't know, that makes her sound like she's not that important. Like a lot of people seem to know about Rand al'Thor, and like she's just now like being like, oh, I think he must be Taverin. Like I feel like that was one of the first things Moiraine was talking about at the beginning of the first book, you know, and like so many people have encountered him and heard about him by now. Like he's been basically revealed to be the Dragon Reborn, and she's talking about the Taverin. I don't know. It seems she seems like she's behind the times.
There's something about this young shepherd.
Maybe this is intentional, that she actually knows more than she's letting on. I'm not sure. But anyways, she struck me as not that impressive or scary, if that's her level of info. Like she couldn't even be a dark friend, right? Like she would have more info than that if she's being honest. I don't know. But okay, and then Shariam shows up, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a power struggle there. That's cool.
Yeah. And then they go back and forth for a minute. Which I guess we don't know really which faction they belong to or what they want. I feel like we're just getting kind of a tease here.
And the show kind of covers this too, but I don't want to talk about it because that is spoiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's definitely questions in the show of at least Aleida. I don't remember who Shariam is in the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there's questions about Aleida, whether she's Black Aja or just ambitious. And the answer, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, definitely very ambitious in the show. She's doing some Game of Thrones shit.
Perfect casting. Definition of ambitious actress that plays ambitious older women roles in positions of authority and talks like this.
Just a very striking voice.
I need to get that fucking ship.
That's her half of her lines in fucking The Expanse.
She should have been in Battlestar Galactica.
Anything else in this chapter?
Shariam kind of just comes in, busts it up, and then says we're going to get Matt healing. I didn't have a whole lot circled or underlined or no smiley faces. I didn't really find anything. It wasn't a bad chapter, just I don't really like Aleida all that much.
I think this is a classic chapter, could be an email.
Definitely. He could have written what he wanted to get out in this chapter in one page at the beginning of the next chapter. I'm not sure why we needed it.
I think my summary pretty much covers it. The Kool-Aid Manning. I mean, that's all we really need to talk about.
Shariam's like, oh, if I don't teach you magic or whatever, I'm at least going to teach you manners.
Well, I'd like that on a shirt.
This is no.
She's going to spank him again. That's what I'm thinking.
Just
these are adults. You can't spank adults. You shouldn't spank kids, but definitely don't spank adults.
They just go out of their way to assert their authority and just very almost in childish ways. Yeah. They're not true power is the respect that is commanded rather than just browbeating your inferiors into the ground.
We should have had that in the Accepted trailer. When I find out who this fucking mole is, I'm going to give him so many spankings.
I'm going to spank him.
Or her. I'm going to give her so many spankings.
Ask not what the tower can do for you. Ask what you can do for the tower.
I'll spank my white tower.
It's all JFK. Every character is JFK. Okay, let's get on to chapter 18.
Chapter 18, Healing. Elaine, Nynaeve, and Egwene are led by Shariam into the lower intestine of the tower to witness the Aes Sedai's attempt to break the dagger's hold over Mat and heal the residual damage from the bond. They find Mat's unconscious body laid out on the table surrounded by Aes Sedai that they know, like the Amyrlin, Varen, and Olenna, and those they are unfamiliar with. The Aes Sedai cross their streams, and with the aid of a powerful sa'angreal, they are able to break the dagger's bond and lock it away into a lockbox that would make Al Gore proud. The Aes Sedai abruptly leave the room, and after Nynaeve asks if the girls can stay and watch over Mat, the Amyrlin orders them to return to their covert mission.
What was the last? Oh, hey, soul sister. This one is sexual healing. How many Aes Sedai in here? Up in this bitch?
7.
It's like the he's just laying there, and all these women are lined up behind him, like that girl on the couch.
A reverse gangbang.
This is what we've been talking about forever.
Finally happens.
Last book. Okay, wait. So let's go back over this. First book, Matt, halfway through it, maybe like a third through it, he gets the dagger, and then he slowly just like totally fades out of the book.
Yep.
Is totally unimportant. And then second book, we talk a lot about how Matt is getting worse, and he just sulks and bitches, and he's really annoying and he's hardly talking a lot of the book, but he's only annoying when he's there. And then he's finally, this book we've been hinting like, okay, we just got to heal Matt. We're going to heal Matt. We're finally at the tower. That's why we're going to the tower, because we're going to heal Matt. And then I think we're finally here.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the chapter. Also, I'm just going to say right now, because I finished and I turned to the next page, and next chapter is a Matt chapter. First time ever. So,
oh yeah, little dice things.
I am excited about that. But that's what also makes me think like, yeah, this is just like, okay, Matt's healed now. Maybe he'll have like residual stuff he has to deal with about the dagger, but can we just have like normal guy now? Can we have recovering addict instead of in the midst of it?
Yeah.
That's what I really want to get to. So I'm excited about that. But this chapter, we don't quite get there yet. I don't think Matt's not even conscious in this chapter at all.
No, he doesn't say anything. He just kind of, he says some.
They do talk about what he's saying. He yells stuff in old tongue or whatever. And then they later, I think someone, the Amerlin, like says what he said or whatever.
Picture this, Matt's healed and Nynaeve and Egwene are huddled around and they're like, is he going to be okay? And then the Amaran's like, go back to whatever you're doing. You got to leave. And they walk out of the room. And in the background, you see a fingerless gloved hand stick up in the air and do this. And Matt's back.
He's back, baby.
I'm imagining
a fingerless thumbs up. Yeah. Fingerless gloved thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm imagining that he gets up and starts doing like the Thriller dance, he starts doing the little hip movements and dips and shit.
That'd be a cool like after credit sequence for this episode. Yeah, for sure.
Hips and nips.
Speaking of which, does Michael Jackson have fingerless gloves in the Thriller video?
I think in Thriller, yes.
I'm looking right now.
Because he wears the white glove otherwise.
Oh, no, he's not wearing gloves actually. Unless he changes into them at some point.
What?
I'm probably just transposing that on him in my memory. I wouldn't call Michael Jackson a fingerless glove guy, spiritually speaking, in the,
he does have some fingerless gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a wrist. If you just Google Michael Jackson fingerless gloves, it's like a brace.
What?
Kind of badass looking, to be honest. It kind of blurs the line in glove or
would you call,
sleeve.
Okay. I don't know. That looks like an arm brace,
a
or
fan
something.
brace.
Yeah, like you have tendinitis or something. You need to wear that shit. Except it's like it's like a designer version of that. Anyways, this has been fingerless glove talk.
You can tell which finger's going in the stink.
Let's get to what did we say? The lower intestine of the tower.
Yeah.
Back to the lower intestine. This is like somewhere down here. They mentioned that that's where the Angreal, Sangreal, and Terra Angreal are kept, but some of those have been stolen.
Yeah, this is where dude says that in here. The Black Aja had struck at those storerooms, and this is where. Yeah. She gives a little squeak when she thinks about it. And the other day, I look at her and she's like, oh, I was just thinking about the Black Aja. Which is like, stop talking about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. Worst secret agent ever.
It's literally been constantly talking about it since they left the chambers. Yeah, not great. So this is very similar to all of our Emmons Fielders, way of interacting. Those that they have no subtlety and they just go up and introduce themselves to people and start telling him all the shit that they're not supposed to tell anybody every time. But they go into the room. Matt's in there. We got Leanne, Varen, Seraphel, Alana,
Anaya, whose warm smile is her only beauty. But a little bit a paragraph later, Alana does have a darkly beautiful face.
She's not even handsome.
Yeah. So good to know. Hot or not. Tarvalin.
they've got what, like which one's the most powerful? A Sa'angreal?
Think so.
They get literally the most powerful one that they have.
Flute.
In the tower.
Yeah, the wand.
The wand, that's what it is. Do you guys think that that's like foreshadowing something for this book? It's got to be they got to unleash that shit somehow at some point, right? Like, we're pulling that thing out now. We're introducing it.
Chekhov's wand, bro.
Yeah, Chekhov's wand. That shit's coming back. And then Matt is like thrashing on the table. I think we said this before, but he yells some shit in, I guess it's called Old Tongue.
Manathra. Yeah.
As you've seen in the show, I'm enjoying how they're doing it in the show, where he's just talking and stuff just comes out in the Old Tongue.
And everyone just seems like kind of sad about it.
Yeah. They all just kind of look at each other like,
poor guy.
It's like having Tourette's or something. I don't know. There's a part here where they're doing this shit. He yells the stuff in Old Tongue. The dagger's like floating there.
Yeah, like that. The dagger starts to float above his straining body. The ruby glitters.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And then like they stab it into a box or something.
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
just I do like that their containment thing is just like a big thick box. Yeah. Like you're not gonna throw it into the fires of Mount Doom or anything. No, it's just into the box.
I mean, you guys probably know, but like my guess at this particular moment is it's like, is the cursed object, and it was cursed and Matt was cursed by it, and then it seems to me like maybe like they leave the dagger hanging from the side of him after and all that stuff. Like I'm guessing the dagger is going to be something that he actually ends up keeping and using, and it's like the curse has been lifted, but maybe it has residual stuff, kind of like how Matt has residual stuff, blah blah blah, it reflects him and he ends up using it. That's my guess, but maybe we just get rid of the dagger. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like,
I don't 100% remember. There's some stuff that it's more along the lines of like the Old Tongue stuff and like that stuff bubbling up, but I don't know if that's dagger or pattern or horn of Valir.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like this show is going to do it going to portray it more as horn of Valir, but I don't know if that's the case.
I'm getting Horn of Valir, but also I get, I think a lot of it seems to be connected to Matt being some kind of like in a past life and just like family, like blood ties.
Yeah.
The old blood or whatever. Like, I feel like it's supposed to be a thing where it's like his past versions of him and stuff in his blood is just like coming out because he's, I don't know, maybe. I feel like there was a hint at some point in the first book. Robert Jordan was like, maybe one of these Taveran boys could even be like royalty or some shit from back in the day in Manethor. And it was like hinting.
Yeah, and he first speaks in the Old Tongue all the way back, like when they're running the Trollocs outside before they even go into the city, right? So I was trying to wonder, like, okay, where is this from? But that would have been before he even got there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there's more of a tie back to the old blood or something or past lives, but we'll see where he goes with it. I was talking shit about how we spent all this time with Matt and the stupid plot line that doesn't really go anywhere, and we're finally getting through it. But I don't like hate the whole dagger thing. And
I'll hate the dagger. Yeah.
I mean, the addiction parallel thing is like okay with me.
Love the dagger.
I feel like in a much more concise version, it would be better.
I think indirectly it benefits the story in that like it keeps us from having too many plot threads and like now we have parents POV and he's bringing Matt out of the bullpen now.
I agree with you, but that's also like, that's totally like cope if you want to go with the modern parlance, because that's just being like, well, Robert Jordan could have written this book better, but at least we didn't have to be too tied up in all of these characters he wrote in. When it's like a real better author's
obviously,
choice.
If you
just don't introduce the character if you're not ready for it. I don't know.
Steven Erikson would. I don't think it was intentionally done that way, but I guess it created space it held space for our more important characters.
Oh my God. Are you referring to that weird interview thing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people really holding space for that now.
I'm holding a lot of space.
I have no idea what's happening.
I've been really holding a lot of space for Matt's dagger plot line. I was so confused at first. This woman's name is Brenda's. Brenda. Brendas.
Yeah, Brenda's.
How would you... Brenda's.
No, I think there's multiple Brendas.
Yeah. Is she talking to like the
But they
Brendas?
work as a team.
Yeah. Like
they're a package deal.
Brenda C and Brenda T, you know.
Oh, yeah. I had 2 crystals in my elementary school class, and we just called them the crystals because they were really good friends.
Yeah, exactly. So the Amerlin tells the Brendas to take Matt back to his room.
They hold hands the whole way.
And then Amerlin, they ask her, like, what's going on with the dagger. She doesn't really say anything. She had the taint so long, we don't know what's going to happen, is essentially what she says. She's pretty much like Moiraine. She just kind of answers a question with nothing.
Deflects.
Yeah. I know you wanted information, but I'm just going to view this as a power play.
She does give one bit, though, which is that she admits what he said, because I think Nynaeve like questions him on it. She's like, oh, I heard this word, though. And he was ordering soldiers, which that definitely, she says, in a battle 2,000 years ago, the old blood comes again. That's exactly what we were just talking about.
But then Nynaeve says, I heard him say Aes Sedai, and then she corrects herself. Right. And he said, yes,
bullshit.
I am a free man, Aes Sedai. I am no Aes Sedai meat.
Egwene's like, but mother, he cannot have meant it as it sounds. Manetheren was allied with Tar Valon.
Mother!
That's we got another song reference in here. Maybe we just don't have enough information. I kind of read that a couple times, and I was like, I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. If he's remembering a battle from 2,000 years ago as if he was someone from Manetheren of the Old Blood and the Two Rivers, then he would have been allied with Tar Valon. So why would he be yelling at Aes Sedai? But I didn't connect that, because like I feel like the Aes Sedai thing is a modern thing.
But you're saying that now.
Not his past. Yeah, I feel like that's Matt, whereas the other thing is his past life or his memory or whatever. He's like reliving things. Maybe we'll learn more about Matt's past lives coming up, because we get a Matt chapter next. And guess what? Have you guys looked at that chapter heading?
It's got dice. I'm excited.
It's got dice.
Oh, nice.
The gambler's back.
It has 5 dice, all with 5s. Oh no, 6s. 6s. Sorry, not 5s.
Yahtzee.
So
that should have been what the chapter should have been called.
Chapter 19, Yahtzee. Chapter 20, Pictionary. Bobble? What others? Boggle. That's what it is.
Boggle. Good stuff.
That brings us to the end of another episode of the Bridgeburners Book Club. We would love it if you follow us on Instagram at Bridgeburners Book Club, on Twitter at BridgeburnersBC, and find us on YouTube at Bridgeburners Book Club, where we post full episodes, clips, and polls. If you'd like to write in, shoot us an email at bridgeburnersbc@gmail.com with any comments, questions, or contentions, and maybe we'll read them on air. You can also join our Discord with the link in the episode description for discussions, questions, or to post your best memes. It really helps the show to grow if you give us a rating on Apple and Google Podcasts, so please consider helping. I'm the Sean Chan, and for my co-hosts, Ben Bowie and Tyler the Creator, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.
The Aes Sedai abruptly leave the room, and after Nynaeve asks if the girls can stay and watch over the mat,